Friday. It's 7:55 p.m. The Manly Sea Eagles will take on the Parramatta Eels at 4 Pines Park, also known as Brookvale. On the list, on the TV, on the screen, wherever you are watching this, we do have the team list for the Manly Sea Eagles up there. Ruben Garrick, Jason Saab, Morgan Harper, Talatua Kula, Christian Tuapalatu, Kieran Foran, Daly Cherry Evans, Tanila Paseka, Lachlan Croker, Tuafui Stipler. Mate, these names are worse than yours. Number 11, Hamoli Olakalatu. Number 12, Andrew Davey, Big Jake Trebojevic, Dylan Walker, Ben Trebojevic, Marty Tapau, who that has obviously changed to what we were aware of. Number 17, Morgan Boyle, and number 18, obviously Josh Schuster. But I guess for me, the big one here is those players that didn't want to play last week have obviously returned to the team now that that Pride jersey is put away. I guess my first question to you, and then I'll get your thoughts on the squad, is we've seen it, obviously. We're both football fans. We both watched the Premier League. We saw the Black Lives Matter protest. We saw what happened when players didn't take a knee for that. And this isn't a political debate, but there's going to be a lot of hate and a lot of, I guess you could say, verbal criticism thrown at those players returning to this team. Do you think this is something where if Manly don't win this game, you kind of draw a line through them for finals football? And I guess then what do you think about this squad and who really needs to step up other than obviously Jake Trebojevic, who I think steps up every single week?
Yeah, I don't want to get too political because you're talking about players' faith. And in Australia, like, what was it, a few years ago, we had a referendum about should gay marriages be legalized. And, you know, again, I'm not going to be political, but you're asking people to go against their faith and what they believe in since being a young boy. So whatever they may be, if they want to stand down, let them stand down. If they want to play, let them play. Do they lose this one? Being at Brookie Oval, 4 Pines Park, I'm going to say no, because they are a good team at home. And look, the names speak for themselves in the key position. So, and as well, you got the 7 players back. They're going to make an impact. They're not going to go down like they did last week. So I'm going to make a bold prediction. I know you went 20 plus in the last preview, and it's me with a Ruben Garrick hat trick of tries.
Well, you heard it there first. Ruben Garrick is having an absolute day. I might have to bring him into my super coach team because if he's scoring a hat trick, I could definitely use those points coming into finals week. But I mean, this is a game that I don't see how Manly should lose this game. And I'm going to pop the other team up because I don't want to talk too much to it because you're obviously going to get to it when you do announce, obviously, who number 7 is. But I'll pop that up onto the screen for you now, Baxter. It is the Parramatta Eels, and I'll let you go through it. But most notably, it's that number 7 position.
Yeah, obviously you got King Gutho in the number 1 fullback row. You got Mike Acevo, Waka Blake on the wings. You got Will Penasini and Tom Opelak in the centres. You got Dylan Brown and the coach's son, Jake Arthur, in the halves. You got RCG and Junior Paulo in the front row. Reid Marnie to take the hooker role. Sean Lane and Isaiah Papali'i in the back row. Ryan Madison to lock it all out. The bench makes up Makatoa, Cartwright, Kafusi, and Nicolore. It's a good squad on paper, but can they get it all? Can they get it together? I think last week against the Penrith Panthers, they looked good before the Cleary send off, and then they sort of rolled on with it a little bit, and then took the foot off the acceleration there and coasted home. And obviously, with a team with a poor for and against here in the Parramatta Eels, they should have ran away with it and put more points on, because come the end of the season, if you know you look back at this game, you go, oh, should we have scored another 2 tries, and we could have been in the top 4 and had 2 bites of the cherry. You sort of be wondering that on Mad Monday or after the full-time siren, after you go out in back-to-back sets. So Look, you look at the Parramatta top 30 squad, and it's basically Jake Arthur, and probably maybe one other bloke who can play halfback role. So, just because he's the coach's son, he's not allowed to play? Because if that's the case, Nathan Cleary shouldn't be playing for Penrith if that's the way people want to go about it. So, what's your take on all of it?
Well, I think Nathan Cleary and Jacob Arthur are a bit of a different debate when you look at the coaches' sons. Like, yes, I know both their dads obviously do coach, but I think Jake Arthur's kind of, I guess, been hard done by. I think if I look at the 16 clubs in the NRL, one of the hardest fan bases to have behind you probably is the Parramatta Eels, because they have obviously tasted success before and they do expect the world. But I think Jake Arthur sliding in along Dylan Brown, it could work. Obviously, Dylan Brown is one of those players who he's not afraid to run the ball. He's not afraid to get hit. He's not afraid to put on a big hit. So I think that takes a little bit of pressure off Jake Arthur, and you just tell him, hey, focus on your kicking game. I will do the rest. But I'll ask you this because there is a rumor going around, so we'll see what your thoughts are on it. There's rumors that Clint Gutherson has been training in that number 6 and Dylan Brown would shift to that number 7. Now, you've got no Mitchell Moses for 5 weeks. If this rumor is true, you're pretty much stuck with it for the next 5 weeks, because if I'm Jake Arthur, I'm going, screw you. But what are your thoughts on that rumor now? Joey Manu, he's not a fullback, but he is a center. He goes into the number 6 and 7 position. He absolutely dominates. Do you think this will work with Guffo having his hand on the ball more?
Dylan Brown, I believe, is probably the best 6 in the game right now. And if you want to argue about it, I'll say top 3. To move him from 6 out of his natural position, and we've seen that earlier on this year when Parramatta went up to Darwin to play the Cowboys, they moved him from 6 to centre, and he wasn't as effective. So I think moving Dylan Brown from 6 to 7 sort of puts a little bit of pressure on him when he doesn't really need that. He's not that type of player to sort of carry the weight and sort of go, come on, boys, you follow me. I think he's more of he does his own game. He does his own game, and that's why it works. So why change something that's working right now? So but as you said, obviously you got Moses out. So if the rumor is true, I'll put it to you, Tony. Looking at their squad, I know who I would pick. I'm a little bit of bias here, but who would you replace Guffo at the fullback if Guffo was to slide into the 6 role?
Oh, I mean, it's always a tough one. Remind me of your mate's name that you do know in this squad.
He's in the 21 number jersey in Sean Russell. So
now, obviously,
hopefully he comes back. But if
yeah,
not,
obviously, I don't know if Sean has played in obviously that fullback position, but obviously, like you see with many teams, that there's that number 3, number 4, they drop into that fullback position. Obviously, Russell can slide into that center or wing position. You shuffle around the pack a little bit. There's not too much. Who would you move into that position? And did I hit the nail on the head talking about your mate?
Yeah, you did. He has played in a bit of a fullback role in the NRL with the Parramatta Eels, so it wasn't the best conditions when he did. I think it was like late in the season, and it was like a really, really drenching rainy day, so it wasn't the ideal conditions. With I think it was like 10 to go. So if that's the way it's going to play out, yeah, you can put Sean Russell there, and he'll do a job. You've seen it round 1, scored a hat trick of tries before getting that broken ribs. But as you said, it's only if the rumor is true. And look, I don't know about you, but being a coach's son, I don't think you have the heart to tell your son, look, mate, you're not playing in the most important role in my team. So it's a weird one.
I'll answer that with a hypothetical. Let's just say the Parramatta Eels, they put Gutherson into that half position. They put, let's say, Russell, just for hypothetical reasons, into that fullback position. They go on and win 5 straight. Does Parramatta then go hypothetically, okay, Mitchell Moses, you're a great player, through round 1 to 25. You can get us into the finals. You can make us look good. Almost, you could argue Mitchell Pearce like. That's what he used to do for the Roosters. But if Gutho comes in and absolutely dominates, and Russell goes to the fullback and absolutely dominates, do you start thinking, okay, Moses wants over $1 million a year. Let's move him on. Let's spend that money somewhere else to keep these players around and let's build. Because to me, I think Parramatta do have a chance of winning the premiership. To me, I don't think Mitchell Moses can lead this team around. If he goes to another team, like, I don't know, Roosters, Melbourne, Penrith, I think he wins the competition. But for me, if I throw, let's go Reynolds, Cherry Evans, Luke Keary, those kind of players into this squad, I think there's a premiership ring on their finger a lot quicker than what there is with Mitchell Moses.
Yeah, I think you took the words right out of my mouth when you said Mitchell Moses is sort of like that Mitchell Pearce style player. As soon as it sort of starts to warming up in the air and finals starts to come around the corner, I think they both go back into the shell. So, look, hypothetically, if this does work with the Brown Gutho half combination, I wouldn't say no to it. But then, obviously, there's some holes you fill up. Obviously, you move Moses on and you use his money to sort of replace Reid Marnie and Isaiah Papali, who are moving on to their respective new clubs next season. So, do you use that money to buy one good player to replace those two players, or do you sort of just bring juniors in?
Yeah, obviously it's a big debate, but I think that is a debate obviously for another day. Like I said, we are here just for the preview of Manly versus Parramatta. So we might have another debate where we talk about what halfbacks need to be moved on and what halfbacks should stay. But once again, obviously you can see the Parramatta lineup there. The Manly lineup has been on the screen. Baxter, are you sticking with your prediction, a Manly running home, or have you kind of changed your mind a little bit after seeing the strengths of this Parramatta squad?
Nah, look, Manly are tough at home. They've shown all season why they're tough at home. So I'm going to stick with them. Manly to win 1-12.
All right, well, that's going to be pretty impressive if they win 1-12 after a Gary Catrick. So I'm all for it because that means there is going to be points galore in this game. I'm going to go. It's probably a bit biased. I'm going to go Parramatta 1-12. It does put Manly away from that top 8 debate if the Roosters do win on Thursday night. So I'm going to go Manly 1-12. But Baxter, as always, thank you for joining me for this preview, and I will talk to you soon regarding the Rabbitohs and the Warriors.
Peace.